You've tuned in to the Benjamin Dixon Show.
All right, caller, what's your name and what is your comment or question?
Yeah, hey, this is Eric from Houston. I found you on Twitter in the Hillary Clinton thread, and I love your energy.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, hey, look, you know, I agree with you on corporate subsidies, taxpayer subsidies to corporations needs to be abolished. But you know what? I'm working poor. I work 6 days a week, make about $35,000 a year. And it's not the corporate CEOs that I resent. It's not the big corporations or the big businesses that I resent. I resent the welfare mom. I resent these people on EBT using EBT cards in the checkout line at the grocery stores.
Okay.
Here I am with my little cart, and I got to buy the generic bologna and cheap hot dogs and the macaroni and cheese every time when I go to the Kroger store. And the woman in front of me, and you're not going to like what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm not politically correct. 9 out of 10 times, it's a minority. You know, it's a black woman or a Hispanic woman. You know, the woman in front of me, she whips out a Lone Star card, and they gave it a nice name, Lone Star, so people will be fooled that it's not welfare, but it's welfare. And she's got steak and lobster in her carrito, in her cart, her shopping cart. And here I am with the cheap bologna. I'm working like 6 days a week. You know, it's not the corporate CEO that's in the checkout line in front of me that's got the steak and lobster that's stealing from me through taxation, that's stealing my money that I work very hard for. It's not him that's taken from me. It's the welfare moms. It's the woman that pops out 5 different kids with 5 different men that doesn't have a husband in the household. That's the person I resent. You know, woman, you know, go get a job. You know, stop stealing from me. That's what I want to say.
Okay. Appreciate your call. Hang on. I don't want you to go anywhere because I want to have a little dialogue with you about that, because you're exactly the type of person that I'm referring to, that you're angry. And I understand your anger. First of all, let me tell you why I identify with your anger, because I work 6 days a week, and at my hardest, I worked from 5 in the morning to midnight. Right now, we're from 5. Well, hell, I guess I still work from 5 in the morning. You know, with exception of the show, right? I don't really call this work because I love doing it. But I still get up at 5 in the morning, and I still get off at midnight, right? So when I leave here, you know, I go to work, you know, so I understand exactly what you feel when in terms of you work so hard and then you got to get a bologna sandwich just to make it to the next paycheck. Right. So I'm with you on that sentiment. But do you realize that as a percentage of what you make, you are paying more out in tax subsidies to the wealthy than you would ever pay out to all of the social welfare people that you're upset with?
Okay, let me stop you right there. I don't view a tax break as a subsidy. I mean, this is where
straight. Well, even straight.
Like myself,
hang on a second.
Totally disagree with liberals.
Hang on, let me give you this.
A tax break.
Let me give you this. Not only a tax break, but also straight out subsidies. I don't want you to get confused and stuck up on the tax break. It's tax breaks as well as subsidies that are straight cash payments to these corporations. So go for it.
Well, I'm against that. I'm with you on that. If my tax dollars are going to corporations, I guess like the export, you're talking about the Export-Import Bank, you know, where they fund overseas investments or big companies like Coca-Cola and stuff like that to promote their products overseas. Yes, I am absolutely with you on that. And if that's the case, if my money is going to fund that and it's a larger percentage, I am outraged just like you are about that.
So,
but you know what?
Okay, go ahead.
That's not what's in my face every day.
Right.
That's not what I see every day.
Right.
I see the woman at the Kroger store whipping out her Lone Star car, and I'm furious about it. I want to go up to her and slap her and say, woman, go get a job. Stop stealing my money.
Do you realize that most of those people do have jobs? You see, they painted. Hang on. Hold on. I gave you a chance to talk, and I want you to hear me. They have painted a picture in your mind successfully over the last 30 years to make you believe that everybody that's on welfare is jobless and lazy. Do you realize that there are plenty of jobs both at Walmart?
I think they are. See,
that's a misconception. That's a misconception.
People, they do not want to work. You know why?
Hang on. I'll let you talk. So now let me talk, and then I'll give it back to you. That's a misconception. Yes, there are people who do not have work, right? That do not work. And actually, there's two things that I got to remind me to tell you about Owsley, Kentucky. But first of all, there are a amount of people who are not working, but there are far more people who are the working poor. You called yourself the working poor, but the working poor are people who are working 40 hours a week and cannot make enough money to buy food. And so what these corporations have done, and it is part of their policy, both places like Walmart and McDonald's, they would teach you how to go and get on welfare because your salary is not enough, even though you're working 40 hours a week. Now, that is not something I'm making up or pulling out of the air. We are subsidizing these corporations, not only with straight cash payments, not only with tax breaks, but we're subsidizing them by having to pay welfare and pay safety nets because they're not paying their people enough money. So now they've made you upset, and they painted this picture in your mind that everybody who's on welfare.
Why?
Hold on. You're on my show, so let me finish my thought, and I would be glad to let you finish. All right. Everybody, they have a picture in your mind that everyone on welfare is not working, but it is demonstrated that the working poor are on welfare. They are receiving SNAP benefits. They are receiving food stamps because the jobs that they have do not pay enough money for them to pay for all of their expenses of living as well as get food. Now go for it.
Okay. My point is, why is it that they're having kids with all different husbands and the man is not in the household? I mean, that the man should be in the household working his butt off to pay for those kids. Instead, I'm paying for them.
You're paying for a fraction. I will chase that red herring a little bit because that is a common not even a misunderstanding. That's a common bit of propaganda that they feed you on a regular basis. First of all, I don't know if my producer is listening, I want you to pull up that stat for me of what we pay out based on welfare and subsidies to corporations, and send that to me so I can bring it up on the screen. But what you pay to these people is minuscule compared to what you're angry at them because you see them. You're angry at them because you've been told that's who you should be angry at. You're angry at them because you have been propagandized for years. But the truth of the matter is, that energy and that anger that you have, shouldn't that, and just answer me this, shouldn't that go to the people who are taking the lion's share of your taxes?
Okay, I will, but I want to ask you this question.
Wait, answer that. Answer that for me real quick, and I'll let you have the floor.
72% of black households do not have a man in the household paying for the kids. Is that statistic true or not?
That is statistically misleading.
Thank you.
Misleading.
Thank you.
Hold on. We're chasing red herrings, so let's chase them. Do you know? Hang on, because you're doing what you're not going to do is just yell over me. All right? Are we going to have a conversation or not? Are we going to have a conversation or not? Are we going to have a conversation? You asked me a question. Can I answer it without you yelling over me?
Go ahead.
All right. 72% of people don't have of black children don't have fathers in the household, but that does not mean that 72% are not being taken care of by their father. It has been statistically demonstrated by the most recent research by the Census Bureau that black fathers are far more active and participatory in their children's lives. So now, even though they don't live with their parents, that does not mean that their parents are not taking care of them. That statistic that you gave just shows how many people don't live with their fathers, but that does not mean that they're not active. It has been demonstrated. You can pick up a book called All In by Josh Leves. It is demonstrated in chapter 8 that black fathers are outperforming white fathers, Hispanic fathers, and every other type of father in terms of being participatory in their children's lives and taking care of their children. Now, that's not something I don't pull stats out of my ass. That's documented. So go grab that book, chapter 8. Matter of fact, you can pull up the New York Times article by Charles Blow and find and read that data for yourself. So let's throw that out the window, because it doesn't mean just because they're not living with their family that they're not being taken care of by their dad. All right.
I couldn't disagree with you more.
But you can't.
We're on two different planets. If they're not in the household, it doesn't mean jack as far as I'm concerned. They need to be married in the household with the kids 24 hours a day.
Okay, so since we're throwing around stats, do you realize that 50% of Christians, 50% of all these conservative people are now divorced? They are not taking care of their, I could say the same thing, that just because they're not living with them, that they're not taking care of their family. That doesn't make it true. So there is a marriage problem, if you want to say that, in the United States, but that's not endemic to a particular group or demographic. That is America. That is America. Now, Do you know this stat? Do you know this stat? Hang on, I got to give you this stat. Do you know that the largest county, the largest percentage of welfare recipients is in Owsley, Kentucky, which is 95% white and 99% Republican? Did you know that? That they are the ones. If you want to be mad at somebody, why aren't you mad at Owsley, Kentucky, which is 95% white? But in your mind, you're thinking of that black person or that Hispanic person that you saw in front of you at Kroger, when in reality, all of your money is being sucked into this red state.
Okay, so a white person mimicking black culture is supposed to make it good?
Mimicking? So now you're saying I'm gonna laugh at that. You know why? You know why I'm gonna laugh at that?
To get blacks, get them off of the Republican Party to move them in the Democratic Party, and then decades later, white people start mimicking, seeing blacks getting on welfare, not having to work, and you think that's good?
My friend, you are, I think you're right. I think we're operating at two totally different frequencies, because what I just gave you, I gave you a statistic based on the poverty level in Kentucky, that they are overwhelmingly voting with the Republican Party, and they are overwhelmingly so impoverished that they consume the greatest amount of your tax dollars with regard to the SNAP program. It's being absorbed into this one white county in the United States of America. And you decide to say that is them acting like they're black. You know, you started this conversation like you were intelligent, but now I'm starting to question the validity of that premise that you started off with.
They're mimicking black culture.
How are they mimicking black culture? By taking welfare? So welfare, are you not? Because now this is, hang on, hold on. You called the Benjamin Dixon Show. What you're not going to do is run off and spout lies and ridiculousness. You answer me the question, and I'll let you have the last word. Are you saying that poverty and welfare is black culture, and that is what Owsley, Kentucky is mimicking? And I'll be quiet. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I guess I can talk now. Look,
yeah, you have my permission. Go for it.
Who in their right mind, if they're working poor, go to the grocery store and sees black people and Hispanic people with these little cards, I don't know what it's called in Kentucky, and they get free food? Who in their right mind is going to say, you know, why am I dumb? Why am I going to slob into work every day, 6 days a week? Why can't I just get one of these cards too and get my steak and lobster? You know, it wasn't like that in the 1960s. Lyndon Johnson specifically wanted to get blacks off the Republican Party, voting Democrat. Blacks used to vote Republican. So he instituted welfare, and then decades later, of course, white people are going to start mimicking black culture. And here's my final thing I'm going to say. They should be shamed. I would go to that county as a white person, and I would go to that county in Kentucky, and I know Kentucky. I'd go there and say, what in the world is wrong with you? And I do it in my personal life. If I see a white person taking out a Lone Star card here in Texas, I will yell and scream at them. Don't shame yourself. Have some faith in yourself. Work hard. Do not take welfare. That is stealing from other people.
Let me ask you one simple question, and then we'll move on, because I don't think we're going to agree, but that's fine. That's life. Let's say your hours got cut back. Instead of working 60 hours a week, now your corporation, because they're going to have, for whatever reason, they're going to cut you down to $35 hours a week, just enough to be full time. What would you have to do to take care of your family?
I'd go down to the local pawn shop, plop down $50 and get a rusty old lawnmower. I'd go to the Office Depot with $5 in my hand. I'd get some flyers printed up, and I'd walk my neighborhood, and I'd have more work than I could handle within 2 hours. Let me tell you something. There's a black guy in my neighborhood. He's maybe in his 40s, little guy. He is the most wonderful person I've ever met in my life. This guy, he's got his own lawnmower service. He busts his butt for 6 days a week, sweating in the 95-degree heat. He doesn't bother anybody. He supports himself. He never asks for anything. His name's Johnny. I love this guy. Why can't more black people be hardworking and entrepreneurial like like this guy.
I'm not going to chase that red herring. I'm going to follow up with the next logical step in that. If Johnny's already doing it and Johnny is capitalizing and getting all the business, what business is going to be left for you? You're assuming that you can go out and just get up all this business, but everybody is out there doing it. If everyone is out there doing it and you're not by yourself, your company laid off and cut hours for 500 people, and can everybody go out there and cut grass? There are going to be some people. There are going to be some people. If everybody is doing it, I forgot your name at the top of it, but Johnny, you mentioned Johnny. If everybody is doing it, how are you going to be able to compete with everyone else that is out there? I tell you what, this is what you do. You put that theory into action. And actually, better than that, I want you to go and I want you to look at the number of people who are working poor, legitimately working poor, who are working 40 and 50 and 60 hours a week, but are only making $10 an hour. And so they have been taught by their corporations to go and get welfare. So you're mad. You're mad at the wrong people. You're mad at the wrong people because you see a Hispanic or a Black person in front of you. And you say, oh, that's because they're lazy. You don't even know if they have a job. You don't even know if they're working. They could be working just as hard as you. They could be just working twice as hard as you, but not making as much as you make per hour. And so they have conditioned you so much so that now all you see is the 5 cents on the dollar that you give to food stamps, but you pay no attention. None of that visceral anger that you have, none of it is directed to like 30 cents on the dollar. Now I'm throwing out these numbers because I don't have the stats in front of you, but it is that dramatic of a difference. You're angry with the person who's taking 5 cents out of your dollar versus the people who are taking 30 cents out, and you think they're eating steaks and lobsters? They're riding in their yachts. They're living in their skyscrapers. They're eating the caviar. So you're mad because a working poor person is getting a lobster, right? Which whatever. I don't even like lobster like that. So I'm not defending their right to eat lobster. What I'm saying is your anger is misplaced. Your anger is so misplaced, and you are the exact product. You are the exact product of what I was talking about, of 30 years of propaganda. And you feel like all you have to do is go and get a lawnmower and go and cut grass. But you already said Johnny is capitalizing on it. So what are you going to do? What you're most likely going to do when the rubber meets the road and you cannot feed your family anymore, you will be in the working poor legitimately, and you will go out and get food stamps to feed your kids. And then I'm going to walk up in line behind you and say, why the hell won't you get a job, you lazy ass bastard?